The biggest selling album of 1998. Please welcome The Corrs.
How lucky we are to be doing what we're doing, to be working at something that we're talented at.
It really is a tremendous relief and a tremendous sense of fulfillment to have achieved as much as we have.
If you work hard enough, anything can happen. It is beyond our dreams.
We can play together, get on the stage, have the same dream, share in that. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. Feelings mutual. I swear it.
Hi, this is Brenda Bergen. I was the art director for the Corrs Talk on Corners, and you're listening to CorrsCast.
Hi, and welcome to episode 23 of CorrsCast. One aspect of the album I wasn't able to cover in the show's previous season was its art direction and design. Each album is visually styled and designed to highlight and sell the band and their music. And as we shall see in this episode, a tremendous amount of thought is put into making sure that it correctly conveys exactly what the band, their management, and the record label want. To discuss this subject fully with regards to Talk on Corners, I had the great pleasure of talking with Brenda Bergen, whose iconic designs have been loved by fans the world over. Join me as we discuss her background and the work she contributed to the Corrs' tremendous second album. Enjoy. Brenda, thank you so much for agreeing to come on to CorrsCast. I know there was some back and forth for quite some time before we were able to match up a schedule that worked for you and for me. Thanks for coming on CorrsCast. We really appreciate it. And I can't wait to talk about this part of your career and something that every Corrs fan knows you for.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Now there's that bit where your memory kicks in and we try and discuss something that's 30 years ago.
Yeah, 30.
I begin every episode discussing the background of the guest that's on and how they got into the part of the industry that then interjected them with the pathway of the Corrs, and therefore I should probably talk to you. Tell us, how did you get into this industry and get to the point where you were working with Atlantic Records for the Corrs' management and for the Corrs in the project that was Talk on Corners?
I'll go back quite a bit in my history. I grew up, my father was a designer, a very different kind of designer. He was a product designer and an industrial engineer. But I think at an early age, it allowed him to see my interest in my talent and encourage me to move in that direction. And I just naturally, I guess, through, I don't know, whatever you're interested in as a teenager, I just was doing all of the posters and everything for all sorts of school events. So, any kind of show that was happening, anything that was happening. It was a very big high school, probably like 3,000 kids went to this high school. So there was a lot going on. And I was always working on posters, and even every other year they did something called Focus on the Arts, where it was pretty cool. You had a whole week where you weren't in classes and you signed up for workshops with all sorts of people in all sorts of industries. And I did the logo and all the posters for that kind of stuff as well. And my dad said, you can do this for a living. And that was really, wow, that's pretty cool. What do I do? So I went to school for graphic design. I went to graduate school for graphic design. I grew up in the Midwest, and through graduate school, people came to that graduate school from all over the world, called Cranbrook Academy of Art. It's outside of Detroit, Michigan. It's very small, but very renowned. And I met people from everywhere. And I think that I was inspired to go and live somewhere other than where I grew up.
Wow.
So I went out to LA and I went to New York, and it was kind of a coin toss, right?
And what age would that be?
24, 25.
Wow.
Yeah. So in LA, I had a lot of family. And in New York, I had friends from grad school. And it was really a choice of, I think I'll go where I have friends over lovely, but 80-year-old, family. So, and I think New York spoke to me a lot more than LA did at the time. Just the energy of New York was so incredible and still is. I love it there. So I went to New York. I think my first job in New York was for Vibe magazine in their first year. They had just, I think, had their 1 year anniversary. So starting there, and then I worked for VH1 MTV.
Wow.
And then, so I, kind of landed in this entertainment arena in New York. And I think that part of that was because my graduate school was extremely experimental. So I think I was looking for an industry that would embrace that.
Yeah.
And the entertainment industry does. I think that is sort of what led me more towards the entertainment industry as opposed to like a traditional graphic design shop or an ad agency. Not that they don't do experimental things, but this just was, I don't know, more experimental, more accepting of let's try new things. Both MTV, VH1, and Vibe magazine were as a freelancer. Maybe that was a year, or I'm not sure how long I was in New York at the time. I was like, okay, yeah, I like it here. I think I'll stay. I'll look for a full-time job. So I was unsure of like, do I want to stay in New York? And that was, my dipping my toes in. And then I decided, yeah, I do want to stay in New York. So I think I worked with a headhunter and ended up getting the job at Atlantic Records.
Wow. And did you know of Atlantic Records and what they'd done prior to that? Was it it's just a record label, let's just...
Yes and no. I think there was a number of UK designers that I had been looking at, like 4AD Records,
Mm-hmm.
and the art direction of that was really inspiring when I was in grad school.
Wow.
So I think that led me down the path of like album art can be really amazing.
Yeah, and it certainly can. It certainly can. And
yeah.
your work is certainly a testament to those that are listening, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
For listeners that don't know, art direction and design, what does that involve? Give us an overview. So there you are, you're Atlantic Records, you've got a design background, you've seen the inspiration from other UK ad agencies and other labels. What does the work involve? How does that process work?
Art direction and design kind of creates the musician or the band's brand. And I don't think there was the word brand at the time, but essentially that's what we were doing. At least at Atlantic, or my approach was very collaborative with the musicians. So we would start out at the very beginning of the process, meeting with the musician. Generally at that point in the process, they already had a number of tracks laid down, or they were already crafting the essence of that particular album. So, sometimes we'd go sit in on recording sessions just to get a whole vibe of what the band was all about. And the role of an art director and a designer, and at Atlantic, they were the same person. So I don't really know how it worked in other art departments. Sometimes maybe the art director would be different than the designer. That said, I can recall sometimes where I art directed and other people designed, but in this case I did both. Again, going back to like big picture, it's determining the vibe and the aesthetic and the experience that the band wants their audience to have. The brand is really the visual expression of their music. So it's really getting into the nuances and understanding the music too, and understanding their messaging, and then crafting a visual language around that. So the art director is in charge of the photography, they art direct the photo shoots, and the designer would design the album art and the advertising and everything that accompanies the album. So in our case, you would meet with the band, you would get a sense of their essence, and you would start to put together, ideas for what the aesthetic of the album art would be. And then at that time, we would reach out to photographers through their reps, and we would be delivered these gigantic portfolios. So there were these huge cases that were heavy, and they took up a lot of space in your office. And you'd go through and kind of hone down to maybe 2 or 3 and meet with those photographers, or have the band, if they were in the same town, meet with those photographers and just make sure that there was synergy between them. And then from that, start to craft the rest of the team. So the stylist and the hair and makeup and just everybody else that was needed on the team.
It's truly multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a real octopus job.
That's a good description. Because after, I just talked about the photography aspect of it, then the design aspect of it is designing the actual graphics. And, you go and do the photo shoot. And then at that point, we would get back film and have to make contact sheets and then look at the pile of contact sheets and edit those down and get a bunch of those prints, which I actually found a pile of from the Corrs, believe it or not.
Beautiful.
I didn't find the CD, but I actually have a pile of photos from contact sheets.
Oh, cool.
And I have, funnily enough, when the photographer, this was pre-digital. So when the photographer was deciding, the look and feel, and if they had their lighting down and everything, they would take Polaroids. So I actually have some old Polaroids of the Corrs in Ireland, which is pretty fun.
We'll go through those. We'll go through those.
Okay, we'll get to those. Anyway,
stop getting me excited.
Yeah. Anyway, so at that point, you edit down the photo shoot and you start to lay out the look and feel of, probably starts with the cover, which has to be approved through both the band and the record company. And in our case, the president of the record company and the band and the band's manager. And once the cover's approved, then you really kind of have fairly free reign on the inside. Or at least we did. I did.
And was that because of your prior history with previous albums you've done for Atlantic, or just they'd hired you into that position and this is on your shoulders, you've got it a little?
Yeah, I think that was just the way that the art department ran.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm like, oh, well, what if a band came in and you had no synergy with them, or you went to the recording and you don't like this music and they don't really gel with you? Like, how on earth does that work if you don't have the synergy with the person to see the project through or what they're trying to create? I don't see how that could work. It just seems mad to me.
I never really thought about it in that way. I think that the head of the art department was really good at matching art directors with bands, cool. Personality-wise. I think that was like a good beginning to the project.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I could be a bit of a chameleon in the way that I would listen 24/7 to the music. Like, it was always on in my office over and over again on repeat. And I just got into it. Wow. And so I think that just through the repetition, I loved it. I can really only think of one or two instances, and it wasn't my project, where the band and the art director wasn't a good match. And I think either the head of the department would jump in or just add another person to the team.
Cool.
Just some way to make it work smoothly.
Yeah. Working smoothly is obviously pivotal in time frames, and everything just seems such short time frames for this massive creativity that needs to work and this synergy of all these elements to come together. Can you remember when you were first approached for this?
For the Corrs?
For the Corrs.
We would have meetings every Monday, and, it would be talked about what new bands and projects were coming up. And sometimes it was, you were paired with them based on your experience, other people that you'd worked with, a personality match or a style match. In this case, it's probably because I had some experience working with other bands that made this feel like a good match. So I had been working with Jewel and Tori Amos, and I think that I just, out of everyone in the department at the time, I'm sure that the person who was running the art department was like, this is the best match. In some cases, they would say who was coming up, and you could say, like, I really want to work on that. And I honestly don't recall if this was one of those or if this was just like, let's put these people together.
So this brief, you've been chosen probably because of your vibe with the previous work you had on the label with the other artists. What was the first step?
The first step was meeting the band and their manager.
So full band and John Hughes. Was that in
New York?
In New York. Okay.
Mm-hmm. At the record company.
Can you recollect how that went?
Lovely. They are lovely, lovely people. John Hughes is a lovely man. Yeah, I mean, everyone in that band is very gracious, very humble, down to earth. They did not have that I'm a big star kind of vibe about them at all.
So I guess it was there's a definitely an atmosphere of, okay, these people should be easy to work with. Because there's not this pretense, there's not this set.
There was no
agenda.
pretense. And,
Yeah.
I think I learned a little bit about the Irish through them, right? That they were like, oh, we can walk down the street in Ireland and no one's like, you're special. Like, in a nice way,
Yeah. They'll leave us alone. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Can you recollect what they wanted? Like, did they suggest, these are elements from the first album, we want to get away from that, we want to break into the US, so we want these elements instead? Or
I would say they really put a lot of trust in me,
mm,
and they didn't really direct what they wanted. I'm not sure if they knew what they wanted or didn't know what they wanted, or if they were like, we're in your hands
yeah,
and we trust you. But I definitely felt a very high level of trust and respect from them and from their manager.
they're focused on music, they're focused on recording, they're focused on getting an album and getting a track list out, and the right track list for this market. The last thing they're in their detailed minds they're thinking about is, how is this shoot going to look? What are we going to wear?
Some artists do. Kid Rock walked into his photo shoot and was like, this is what I want to wear. This is how I want to come across. This is my vibe. Like, he knew exactly who he wanted to be right off the bat. So some artists do know. Yeah, I'm not really sure from their perspective if they had an idea or if they were like, let's see how this goes. But from my end, it just felt really open-ended and creative.
Somehow I was kind of expecting that, but yeah, that's a lot of trust. That's a lot of trust. Yeah. So you had this meeting. It was lovely. Hey, I'm going to be your art director for your amazing second album. Let's make this rock. Let's make this look incredible. What's next?
What's next was probably, I had art directed a lot of photo shoots in the States, but I had not done one overseas.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of big thing to take on, to find talent that was from the US. And I'm not sure it would have made sense to do that anyway. So the next thing was really putting a shoot together in Dublin. I found this amazing duo, like a husband and wife team called Blinkk, Blinkk, Damien and Layla.
Yeah.
And I did bring a stylist from the US. I think that in part, I needed some familiarity on my end of somebody that I had worked with for a long time and felt, a high amount of trust with, and knew like they could do this job. And, part of it was a combination of what's going to work in the European market and what's going to work in the US market. And so that was a tricky combination because different things sold very differently in those two markets. And so I think, again, like bringing the stylist from the US was kind of bridging those two worlds a little bit.
That's what they were intending to do, I guess. And that's what they're musically evolving or working towards. Yeah, it's intuitive you picked up on that.
I think a big part of the goal was to break into the US market.
Yeah.
They were well known in Ireland and in, a lot of Australia, but not in the US. So so the first step was this amazingly fun photo shoot in Ireland that was done in Dublin. And, I put the team together and I went over there, and the beginning of that was scouting locations.
Do you have any dates of when that was?
I'm guessing spring of 97, maybe. I'm not sure. That sounds about right.
And you mentioned that you brought your own stylist. Who was that?
Janine Israel from LA.
Wonderful.
I think the hair and makeup person was from Ireland. Her name was Mary Bruton. I think she was Irish.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to her. Reached out to the wonderful pair of photographers. They've declined the interview, but I think that's from their reasoning, partly because of their memories after 30 years. I believe it was a 2-day shoot in Dublin. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. One was inside this like falling apart mansion that was decrepit, but had like amazing kind of texture to it and lighting. And the other day was out in this big forested area where like a whole herd of deer ran past. Like it was this amazing, long, tall trees, like a really cool area.
In Dublin.
Yeah, right outside of Dublin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds very like Phoenix Park, but might not be.
Probably.
Yeah, which is where the first music video, Runaway, was shot.
That sounds about right, because I actually was in Dublin not that long ago and we went out to that park and it felt familiar to me. So I have a feeling you're right.
Finding locations is interesting and helpful for the fans. They love matching up photos and finding out the exact locations and the dates that these things happen. So.
Okay, so the mansion was on the north side of the Liffey, and it was a pretty weird area at the time. And I also know that Sinead O'Connor had a photo shoot there a couple years after we had done ours.
So you've got a 2-day shoot. You've got a pack of photos from 2 days of shoots. You've got those contact sheets that you produce in Ireland and go through
No, that came back to the States. You don't get that right away. So those have to be sent out to a film processing place, and then you got to get the contact sheets back. It's too much to go through a whole photo shoot with other people. It would take forever. So I basically would edit that down to images that I knew could work in the design I was starting to craft.
Mm.
And in this case, this was different than most photo shoots, because in this case, the reason that I chose Damien and Layla of Blinkk was because of the work that they would do after the photos were completed. They would kind of layer, they had this really amazing technique in Photoshop, the way that they would layer things and the way that they would add color and lighting to it, which is why I chose them. So in that case, it was working back and forth with them before presenting anything to the band.
Wow.
Because it really changed what the image looked like.
Yeah, I've seen many examples of their works prior and after this shoot for Talking Corners and the Talking Corners sleeves. You're right, it's the way that their use of color really pops and manipulates the image into something more mystical, something a lot.
Yes.
It's just not just a clarity. Yes, it's a portrait shot, but there's movement, something's going on. You're not quite sure. So
there's so much more depth to it, and it seemed to work really well with their music. And these guys were new on the scene, and I think I was always looking for, new photographers that were breaking into the industry.
So how much of the design elements would you have started with prior to the photo shoot? Nothing? Or were you then drawn after the photo shoot to start?
Some stuff was started to be mapped out a bit. It's a lot of back and forth between the direction that this design is going to go, who's the right photographer, then getting the photographs and going back and forth between that and the design to see, is this still fitting with the look and feel that we're going for in the design? And so a little back and forth between that being mapped out, and you never know exactly what you're going to get with a photo shoot. And there's always these very pleasant surprises that you can't predict, kind of happen on a whim of like, you just, the lighting over there is great. I hadn't thought of that ahead of time. I wasn't thinking that there would be a forest of trees or whatever it happens to be, but let's shoot that. Or, some of this I might not have known before scouting locations too.
And at this time, as you said previously, you'd have an opportunity to hear the music while these things are being conjured.
Definitely.
Do you know what you were given and what you were listening to at the time?
Probably some recording tapes. Like, I'm not even sure if they were fully mixed.
No, I don't think they would have been at this point. It was the ending of this and finalizing the track order and which tracks actually made the cut.
Exactly.
In my mind, it's probably not a fully mixed version of the release that you heard. Not fully formed, which is really interesting.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see the progression of a song too, of where it may have started and how it turned out. It was cool to be a part of that designing and art directing in tandem with that is really cool.
My fantasy, I find that I can't breathe and I can't sleep when he's not around. Every day is bluey gray when he's not in town. No, I can't breathe and I can't sleep when he's not around. Oh, I can't breathe, I cannot sleep when he's not in town, when he's not in town. Yeah, yeah. Na, da, 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 da. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Na, da, 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 da. When he's not around.
Obviously, it's sold phenomenally. At the time, did you? I mean, you may say this about everything you work on. Did you feel that it was something special from what your ears were telling you, or what you were working on, or were you just committed to it and you were focused, and it was just another job at the time? But it's happy that it's been so successful.
Oh, I mean, they felt special
Nice.
for sure as a group. They were so in sync, and I don't know that I've really seen a family get along so beautifully. There was a lot of love between those siblings and a lot of support, and they were all each other's best friends. And you could feel that for sure. And I think that comes through in their music as well. And they, they each have a very different part in the band. Probably being siblings, it gels well together. It just naturally.
It's got to help, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think because they were so already pretty big outside of the US, you could feel that you could tell they would break through. It was obvious. I think that was obvious.
Yeah, it's just time and the right choice of songs and the right radio play and the right promotion, and no small part, the album had to look right as well. Do you have any early versions of the artwork or anything that you created that wasn't approved?
I might have different kind of coloration versions of the cover, but not that they weren't approved. I think other coloration versions we ended up using on some singles.
From my understanding, there was a few layout changes from left to right. So Jim and Caroline were swapped.
Yes, correct. Or facing a different direction,
but the same image, which is really quite amazing. Because this could have gone so many different ways. You could have been like, hey, this is what I've chosen. And they could have gone, oh, I don't really like that. Can we do it? Can you choose some different images? But no, there was more of a, oh no, we like what you've done. Can you swap it around a bit just to see what that feels like? See if that will give a different vibe.
The order of the images, but not the look and feel.
No, which is, like you said, that trust was definitely evident and there. And you got it on the money straight away, which is, amazing.
I mean, that felt really good. I'm very proud of that. They loved it right away. I think they were pleasantly surprised. They obviously could see the Polaroids during the photo shoot, but they couldn't really imagine what it was going to turn into because they look very different than the original photographs. So I think they were like, oh, wow, this is what you were doing. This is what you were doing.
Yeah, which fans haven't seen. So it'd be cool to look into what those originals, like where did it come before it got handed to Blinkk and then changed and modified. But yeah, from the faxes I have from Andy Murray, who is the European marketing director for Atlantic Warner International, he had all of his original dates and faxes and timelines.
Oh,
and
amazing!
Stuff, which is really helpful.
Some stuff I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe. I've got some really cool stuff which I should be able to share.
Oh, how great!
So this is the original breakdown timeline of schedule for when the single art needed to be completed by, and when they needed that running order by, and when they needed an electronic press kit sorted and shot.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's It's really cool to see. And you can see the original logo there instead of
Yeah.
the new stuff. But that gives you a good breakdown of like album ship date needed to be October 17th.
Yep.
Like, wow.
You know, I
Yeah.
probably have some early calendar journals that have some of this too that I'll dig out.
That would really helpful just to piece together
Yes.
the full
The time
fullness
frame.
of it. Yeah, that
Yep.
would be cool. That would be cool. So this is album not approved.
Album not approved.
Not approved. But you know, similar.
That was still pretty close.
Oh, really very, very close on the money. And for
Yeah.
listeners that obviously can't enjoy what we're seeing, links to
Right.
these images will be in the show notes for you to listen along
Yeah,
with
that's pretty
timestamps.
close.
It's
So,
really, really close. And you've got,
Mhm.
you know, Sharon a bit more front and
I
center.
think we ended up
and-
with maybe a different picture of Jim.
Well, if you go to
Maybe
the
a different
approved,
crop. Oh no, okay, we just moved.
obviously
Yeah,
this
that's
is a
right.
fax, so it's a colorization.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we were.
there's not a huge difference in that at all.
Well, it looks like in this case too, we were making room in the middle for the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made
Yeah,
more room so that it
exactly.
didn't cover
Yeah.
their faces.
And you've got this one being approved and authenticated, and it's got the approval by John Hughes' signature
Oh,
above
this
it
is
saying, "Yeah."
phenomenal. I love this.
It's so cool to have. And
Great.
obviously, you'll get copies of these as well for your own
Oh,
records.
that's
And
so
it's like
great.
this is the bands and their management going, yes, we approve of this,
Yeah.
and this has then
Yeah.
gone into history. So it's a
Yeah.
huge testament to your work. And then we have for the first single,
The other coloration, the blue one. Hmm.
went on to be used for Only
Yep.
When I Sleep. Was that normal in that time to, okay, it's not going to be the album cover, we don't want it to be blue, but we need a single cover anyway, so let's just use it? Or was it their decision? Or-
Oh, I think that happened a lot where maybe you had, 3 or 4 that were vying for the cover, and any of the ones, with most bands that I worked with, anything that didn't make the cover for the album, you'd set aside and say, let's hold on to this and
Cool.
use it on a single. Because once you get down to 3 or 4 that everyone loves, then that's where you can show those other ones.
Yeah. And is that a case of like a combined, oh, we all like this, or is it also brevity, or is it a bit of both? Is it kind of like, well, I've done this work, so I don't want to just bin it off, and you need another album cover, you need another single cover.
I think it was just more like the whole group likes these 3.
Mm,
So I think ultimately it comes down to which one is going to sell the album.
Yeah.
And the other ones might not be so obvious as like, this will sell the album.
yeah.
But since everyone still loves it, it's good to hold on to for singles. And then because it's all part of the same look and feel, they talk to each other. They're related, which you want, you
Yeah.
want that relationship.
Yeah, there's a huge synergy between the two.
Mhm.
They're iconic now. Back then it's,
Mhm.
oh, okay, these are visually, I know this. Oh, this must be belonging to this because this is a single.
Exactly.
So it's got to be
Yes.
that. I also have, which has really intrigued me, whether you know it or not. You will know because you've listened to some of the episodes from season 2. I've been obviously highly influenced by your work in the episode images for each episode are based very much copies of your outlines and work for the album, including the band logo. Was it yourself that designed the original Talking Corners band logo?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, then I have a very interesting question for you.
Okay.
There's the Corrs logo as we know it. Brilliant. However, on another not approved version of the album cover. Now look at that. So you've got a similar font.
Interesting.
You've got the Bell Gothic font still being
Yes.
used. Great. But behind it, the Corrs logo is completely different.
Yes, it is. It's the outline.
It's the outline, and you've got this weird piece going off that was then edited and cut out of the original on the right hand side, and the bottom piece doesn't exist.
Right.
But the logo's bigger. The way the letters are formed on the right hand side are different.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do know that the process of design, there's a lot of iterations
Yeah.
that occur and a lot of, fine detail work that you then go in. And sometimes when you're designing something and you're up against the clock, right? I'm going to guess, just knowing how I work, that this might have been shown as like, here's the idea. This is generally what it's going to look like, but I'm going to fine tune the details if you choose this one. So you may not put the time and effort into fine tuning the details if it's not going to be chosen. My sense is since that is always part of the process, that probably is a little bit of what was going on.
And clearly they had a Corrs logo for the first album. Was it your decision to make something completely new for a second album so that the look was different?
It was probably a progression. It's a progression. I mean, it has the same kind of stylistic vibe to it that the first one has, which I think is a combination of trying to capture their vibe, but I can also tell just from looking at it that it's very much the vernacular of 90s typography.
Yeah. Was it based on anything that you'd seen or anything like Irish script or anything that you'd looked at, or was it just...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like that circular kind of Celtic, like, can we do a modern, unique sort of reminiscent Celtic symbol? That
Book of Celts kind of symbol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The amount of people I know that have that tattooed on their body, you wouldn't believe.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
I know many, many passionate fans from all over the world, and I know at least 5 that have.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
That is so incredible. I wonder if they have the final version.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, what is that?
Amazing.
Would that have been drawn in a digital program, or would that have been partly hand drawn and then scanned and then vector made from that? Wow.
Yeah, both. Yeah, definitely a combination. And I think that was part of just the designer I was at the time, still kind of moving from conceptually thinking by drawing by hand was a bit of a process to then conceptually think straight on the computer.
There's that extra barrier, isn't there? Yeah, there's the mouse barrier. Yeah.
Yes, which eventually, wasn't a big deal. But at that point, I have a feeling I still was doing it kind of a combination.
And you say you have Polaroids from the shoot in Dublin.
I do have Polaroids. I have Polaroids from checking out the styling.
Oh, they're incredible.
Yeah, aren't they fun? Oh, look what I found. Oh, wow. I don't even know what this is. All right, let's share my screen. I'm going to be looking at this for the first time with you.
Okay, this is cool. And the listeners will hear along.
Okay, let's see how this goes. Hold on, I don't even know what program this is going to open up in. I guess it's going to be Photoshop. So let's see what I find here.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know. This is some different coloration.
Yeah, and the coloration has been added in Photoshop because you can still see the lines of it.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
you can
amazing.
see more original photography coming through and less of the layered look. Oh, so that was cool. We're just moving her. Well, I'll move them around a little more. Let's add something to the background.
Yeah, there's a few there that are like, oh, wow, that's the album cover, but it's not quite the album cover.
Exactly. That won't work.
That's really cool.
And I'm not even sure they saw some of those because I probably edited before sharing with anybody.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. I have a picture after one of the shoots with them.
No way. Oh,
yeah,
that is
me
so good.
With the group. Mm-hmm.
For me, it's really, really bizarre to see that image, and I know it so well, what they're dressed as and the background, the lighting and everything, but see a different version of it and then somebody else in shot as well. Oh, that's beautiful.
That was fun.
So you've got Talking Corners. Mm-hmm. You've got the same imagery was used for The Only When I Sleep physical single. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have a few other items that you worked on.
There's advertising. There's another single, What Can I Do?
Yeah.
It looks like I have a video box. Lovely.
A lot of your work may be around many individuals that are listening, and yeah. And promotional posters and advertising and press kits and the lot. In my mind, it's very easy to just do, a series of these are the tracks, these are the lyrics. But your design for the album, you've got interleaved little bits of circles coming to this track is this, and then it's really the
Connecting
layout.
it all.
The layout is like a perfected snakes and ladders board.
A little bit of discovery.
Yeah. You have to work to get what you need.
I think that this doesn't exist anymore. I mean, maybe now that people are collecting albums, it does. But you'd sit and listen to an album, and you'd really spend time with the album artwork while you were listening to it.
Yeah.
So I think, I liked to give something to somebody that would take a while to digest, that you could stare at while you're listening to the whole album and not get bored.
And we finally got that with the vinyl release. It's bigger. It's even more to look at.
I don't even have that. And I wish that I could have designed, that was at the time where everything was a CD and it was so small.
Yeah.
And I am envious of designers now who can, or even in the past, right? But like that chunk of time in the 90s was CDs and cassettes still.
Very, very constrained. Yeah.
Yes, very constrained. And to have that larger space to work in now is pretty
glorious.
Cool for people.
So you don't have a copy of that. You don't have a copy of the vinyl.
No, I don't. I went over the weekend to one of our record stores in our neighborhood and they didn't have it. So
we will find a way of getting you a copy.
That would be really fun.
Because it's really cool. It's really cool to see physically because it's your work.
Last night before you fell asleep, you whispered something to me. Was it just a dream? I'm gonna listen to you close, 'cause your goodnight kiss felt like a ghost. What are you trying to say to me? What are you trying to say? Everybody's searching for intimacy. Ooh, ooh. Everybody's hurting for intimacy. Ooh,
Obviously, the album was then adjusted and changed because of the success of the song Dreams for the band. Can you remember a point where, I've done all this work, it's been signed off, it's done, and then having to redo your work because an additional version of the album being released?
Yeah, I actually don't recall how different that one might have been.
Okay, it's the same layout. It's just got another track order and it's got another track added to the jacket. And I just wondered if you'd had in your recollection the nightmare of having to adjust all your spacing and make it all lovely again, but with the addition of an extra track to make all this work.
That was pretty commonplace for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm way into the little details, and I actually, what some people might find tedious, I find very enjoyable. So I don't think that bothered me at all.
Yeah, that harkens back to an interview I read with New City Design that you did with New City Design. And the quote that they use is, I like the big picture and the details.
Yes, I do.
And that to me, that's for this project. Yes, I have to have a big picture in mind, and I have to.
Right.
I love the details as well. But for any other aspect of my life or any other creative pursuit, that sounds like a nightmare to me.
Oh, so it doesn't to me at all. I get in a zone, and I nerd out on all the like tiny little spacing and things that maybe somebody else will not notice at all, but maybe they feel it and they can feel that it's right, or they can feel that it's not quite right. I do really love that. It's a nice kind of design zone to be in, and you just forget about everything else and you're like, let's move that over 1/10 of a centimeter. Oh yeah, that's better.
Are you pleasing yourself entirely in that moment when you're adjusting that one pixel to this and that?
I mean, maybe, but I feel like it makes a difference.
Yeah.
So,
well, your work stands as a testament to that difference that you see visually and have designed visually, doesn't it? So,
well, thank you.
It's not just in your head; it's in the reality of your success.
I feel that other people can feel it, whether or not they can pinpoint what it is that feels right to them visually. They might not be able to, but it's exciting when someone can.
And I think every fan that loves the band loves the physicality of the singles and the artwork, and it's a huge nostalgia kick, and they have a huge heartfelt love for visually how the band were portrayed through their releases from this time. So you should be super proud. Super proud. There's thousands of people worldwide holding and enjoying your design work right this moment, enjoying the Corrs music, and us have an extra bit of satisfaction that isn't just audio, but also the teams you put together to make this work and the choices you
well
made.
And it's funny because when you're doing that kind of work, clearly I wasn't working in a vacuum. I was fully aware of everything happening in the music industry, but at the same time, like, I'm just busy doing my work, and I don't think that I have, even to this day, any idea. I mean, the fact that you said people have tattooed the logo, I'm kind of blown away. Like that, like, I'm really kind of shocked to hear that. So, you just think about, like, well, today I'm going to be laying out this part of the inside of the album, and I got to get the tracks in the right order, and how am I going to, design this so that people can or will want to spend a lot of time looking at it. Whatever it is you're thinking about that day, it certainly isn't, 25 years later, people are going to tattoo this on their body. Like, you're not thinking about that at all. That might have been kind of daunting had I thought about that.
There's too much rides on your every pixel.
Yeah,
Definitely. Obviously, you saw the previous design work from the previous album.
Yeah.
Do you have any understanding of the work of Sung-Lee Crawford, who did that work?
We overlapped a little bit of time at Atlantic, not very much time, but I was familiar with her work. But I believe we only overlapped for a few months. I think she didn't work there at the time that I was designing for the Corrs.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Nobody's been able to get in contact with her.
Oh, no.
So I always have to ask if there's any particular, because it's like, well, where is she? Does she know her work is loved and it inspired the next album and the next album? That's where it started. But yeah, I can't find anybody that has any contact details for her or knows what happened. I
don't either.
At least I've ticked that box in my head.
A mystery.
Yeah, it's at the moment she's still a mystery until she's not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The album's released. There's a potential re-release of the album on the cards. I'm assuming you get to hear about this kind of American release push fairly soon. What happened then? Is it just a case of exactly stamp and repeat, or do you have a bit more direction from the band this time because of wanting to break America?
No, I believe that direction probably came more from the record company than the band. Things always change over time, but I think at the time, the way to break an album was, through radio. That was one way, right?
Sure.
And another way was their physical existence of the CD in a record store and what's going to pop off the shelves. And I don't think that we as art directors always loved this fact, but faces, and I think still to this day, like on Instagram as well, faces capture attention. People are attracted to looking into someone else's eyes. And I would always design multiple covers for musicians that I worked with. And the ones that were always chosen was a picture of their face. In this case, I think that the layered work that we had done and the coloration we had done with Blinkk, I believe, felt that more clarity in the photos would sell better in the US. So I think, that was basically the direction, was not as layered or dreamy of a vibe, but a more kind of modern, maybe a more minimal approach to the look and feel and a more, direct feel of the imagery.
Yeah, and I think that came across really well in your layering of colors instead of a manipulation of the image.
Well, I still wanted to have it speak to what we had done that we all felt very proud of. And, how can you still have them relate to one another?
Oh, it looks beautiful. It just,
Thanks.
the work done and stuff chosen.
Yeah, so you can tell those are much more up close pictures of their face.
Yeah.
But still in quadrants and still with layers of color.
Yeah, you can tell the same team had the same hands on it. And,
yeah.
And where was the special edition shots shot?
I think that was LA.
Yeah, my understanding it was America.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember which photographer did that. If it was Creston or Sean Cook. Does it say on there? I don't even recall.
I believe it was Sean Cook, but it will say on it. Yeah, it will be Sean Cook. Why am I looking?
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely Sean.
Yep.
It was just a single day's shoot. Obviously, you've got pictures of you with the band. Were you present throughout it?
I believe that I did not put that team together, but I showed up for the photo shoot. I actually think that shoot was more for publicity. Hey, why don't you jump over there and kind of look at this from the perspective of using these photos for album art.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And what was it like? Was there a nice reception from the band? Oh, it's you again, and you did great work on the album and stuff. And were they also understanding that there could be another album cover we're working on here as well?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I would say that I got a lovely warm reception anytime I met with them and worked with them. Yeah. I have one sister, and it was super fun. We'd be sitting around with all of the girls, with Andrea and Sharon and Caroline, and they'd be trying on different outfits and whatever. And I felt like another sister for a minute there, and was like, this is so fun. I don't have this at home. This is what it's like to be with a bunch of sisters. It's pretty fun.
Well, you've got photographic evidence there of you as the fifth member of the Corrs on that couch. So that's cool.
But I don't sing or make music. So
wow, you and me both. It was lovely to see on your website the album on the bottom corner of your website there. So it's obviously something.
I added it recently with all of this coming up and the 25th anniversary and releasing the vinyl. I had already started to look through all that past imagery and try to find all those files. And so knowing we were going to talk about this too, I added it to that.
Yeah, I think it's worthy of a position on there, and it's obviously something you're very proud of still, which is lovely.
Yeah.
What have you gone on to do since?
What have I gone on to do since? When I left the record company, I was trained off of the computer, and all that work was all on the computer. And like you said, the physicality of it was the constraints of a CD and of cassettes. And I really wanted something very different from that. And so when I left the record company, I actually had started a jewelry business. I had been in tandem making jewelry. I like to make things with my hands. And I was working with all these fashion stylists, and with their encouragement, they were like, get this out in the world. So I started a jewelry company that I worked on for a while. And when I moved away, I had gotten married, and we talked about having a family. And I'm from Chicago, so I wanted to be near my family. Mm-hmm. Moved back here, had a child, and was like, I didn't have a jewelry studio, and I was making it all myself still.
Wow.
And all those little pieces I was like, this is not safe for a toddler.
Yeah.
And so I think, that and becoming a mom kind of put a little pause on that jewelry business, which was fine. I was ready to go back and do, more creative direction and design. And I, again, was looking for a company that wanted to push the envelope and do things that, were not so commonplace. Mm-hmm. And I was introduced to the owner of Vosges Chocolat, which is a luxury chocolate company, and the work, the kind of stuff that she was doing. She was very, very much on the forefront of mixing chocolate with really intriguing flavors with spices and with bacon. And, maybe that's commonplace now, but at the time it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And a very fashion forward thinker. And she really wanted to create an entire world around this chocolate. And I became their first creative director on staff.
Wow.
And I built out the art department there and really helped that company grow from a local company to more of a national company, which was amazing. And after working there for, I don't know, maybe 6 years, I left to start my own company, which is what I do now, which is Blinkk Design. And we do a lot of work. I would still love to do music, but it just doesn't, it's not so much in Chicago, and those kind of projects and the way they come about have really changed over the years. But now I do a lot of work in the hospitality industry and for retail branding and advertising and product packaging. And recently this year I did some graphics for a museum exhibition, which was really fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my work's evolved over time in terms of which industries, I work with.
Everything.
But still in keeping with art direction and design, which I love and still love.
And if listeners wanted to reach out and show their tattoos,
please do.
What's the best means of getting in touch?
The best means of getting in touch would be email, which would be brenda@wink-design.com. And that's the website, wink-design. The Instagram is Blinkk Design Atelier, and I will admit that I don't populate that as often as I should.
Sure.
But
sure.
It exists. And my personal one, which is Brenda Bergen, I post a lot more often, but that's all fun with travel, which is a big part of my life as well. So that's where that Instagram is, what that's focused on.
Cool. Thank you. Brenda, it's been so lovely to finally put a face to a name and finally touch base with some of the details of a shoot and a project and art direction in its entirety for an album that I've loved and that fans have loved for nearly 3 decades now. Thank you so much for allowing us to take so much of your time and to try and rack your brains and memory of a time that obviously you're passionate about and fond about too. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really enjoyable to go down memory lane, and that was a really, really wonderful chunk of time during my life and my career, and I've really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you.
You're really welcome. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. I'm so grateful to Brenda for keeping the show in mind as she juggled running her business, and she made it a priority to find time to chat fully about her experience working on Talk on Corners. I also appreciate the extra effort she went to dig out files and images from her archives for listeners to now enjoy. Links to some of these, including early versions of the album cover and Polaroids taken at the album shoot, can be found in the show notes. During her interview, Brenda spoke about the development of the logo for this album's release. She kindly shared with me the original archive backup of the design files used for the project, and I've been able to painstakingly piece together the process she went through nearly 30 years ago to create the now iconic band logo for Talk on Corners. This logo was formed from the manipulation of 2 major fonts, Entropy and Osprey. To see further what I mean by this, please see the link in the show notes for more of a visual understanding of how this was achieved. If you've enjoyed this episode, then why not go back and listen to others by a range of professionals that have played their part in forming the projects that eventually came to be the first 2 albums by the band. Please review and subscribe on the platform you're listening on, whether that be YouTube or your favourite podcasting app. If you wish to discuss this episode with other listeners, this is best achieved via the show's Discord channel, links to which can be found in the show notes or via the website www.CorrsCast.com. If you wish to contribute to the show's running costs, this can now be done via the show's Patreon page at patreon.com/CorrsCast, A link to this can also be found on the show's website. Thank you again for listening. You've been listening to CorrsCast. And keep on coring.